Welcome to the Generic American Podcast. I'm Gray. You're Ryan.
I'm Ryan.
Welcome. Here we are. So this is the podcast where we talk about small business, entrepreneurship, things going on in Portland, Maine, where we are here at Argenta Brewing Company. And today we're just kind of like, it's been a while since you and I just kind of like caught up and talked about what's going on here at Argenta because, you know, we're transitioning from like summer to fall. We're thinking about some different kind of events we're going to have here in the tasting room. We're expanding the business in a couple small ways. Well, not small ways, but consequential ways. And yeah, it'll be cool to just kind of catch up and kind of talk some inside baseball for what we got going here.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
How are you?
I have a cold, so I apologize for my garbage voice right now.
How could you?
Sorry, everyone.
So disrespectful.
Yes, but no, so far so good. I mean, we survived our first summer.
It's true.
It was, my God, what a summer it was.
I thought it was going to be a lot busier all summer.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things where I think you can, we can only plan so much and we can, hope for certain things, but in reality, sometimes it doesn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, talking to different people like in the industry and kind of in and around Portland, it seems like we're not the only ones who had kind of like a slower summer, end of summer. It just seems like there's something in the city where it's like, I don't know if there weren't as many tourists or maybe people like don't have as much like disposable income to spend, but it seemed like everybody was kind of like slower than anticipated.
Yeah. No, and that kind of seemed to be like my understanding as well. Which is fine. I mean, at the end of the day, we need to be able to draw a crowd on our own and like find new ways. So
for sure.
I think we hit the ground running and tried a bunch of things, and we found success with certain events and certain products. But I think what this forces us to do is sort of innovate in new ways and go down new avenues. So it's like, okay, we tried. I think we were pretty consistent with a lot of things we did for the past, let's say, 6 months. So basically like late spring into fall.
For sure.
Pretty consistent with some of our events and products. And we found things that worked well. And I think we found that some stuff is just like, for now, it might take some more time to build up our audience and to build up clientele. So it's worth exploring new options. That's kind of the way I see it.
We've had to explore new options in a few different ways, too, because it's like we had the partnership with Kohl's where we had an agreement where they would kind of deliver pizza straight here to our tasting room. And Kohl's just recently closed their doors for good. And we had been kind of, we had introduced like Levitt & Sons sandwiches here, and we were kind of starting our own like food program ourselves. But now it's sort of like we kind of had to really like pull out all the stops and be like, oh, like now we are our only food option here in the tasting room. So like that's something where it's like we thought we had that figured out, but we've kind of had to pivot and adapt, and we've brought in some new food. So we have the sandwiches from Levitt & Sons. We have like a hummus and veggie plate now that we brought in from Levitt & Sons. We partnered with the Portland board, and we have like some charcuterie boards. We call them grazing boards that we have here in the tasting room. So we kind of had to like adapt there pretty quickly too, because it was like a couple days before they closed for good. They were like, hey, we're closing up on like Sunday.
Yeah.
It was like a Thursday or a Friday. So we kind of had to adapt pretty quickly. But, RIP to Kohl's. We miss you. But I think
That's a tough one.
Adapted as well as we could.
Yeah. I mean, just speaking of kind of going slightly off track, the Portland restaurant scene in the past 2 months has been brutal.
Not great.
There has been, probably close to like a dozen closings of like, like moderately to very well-known restaurants.
Oh, yeah.
And like other food establishments in the area.
It's crazy.
Which is kind of leading to what you were saying earlier about it being a bit of a slower summer. I think that is somewhat of an indicator of that, of call it, maybe oversaturation, call it maybe the summer was slower or economic issues. But, when the rubber hits the road, clearly there was not enough money coming into these places to keep doors open. I'm sure some of them had other reasons for closing.
For sure.
But at the end of the day, it's, that is kind of the telltale indicator of, okay, there wasn't enough cash in the bank account.
Yeah, literally, because that's got to be what it comes down to at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
So crazy.
Yeah, that's been a tough one to. I mean, we're in the food and beverage industry, so it's tough to see other places close because obviously it's like okay, like it kind of sends like chills down your spine a little bit in a sense like oh man, this is like it's real. It's in our backyard. It's our neighbors closing down.
And it's not just businesses that have been open for like 6 months. These are businesses that have been around since like the 90s in some cases that have been staples in the Portland food and beverage scene that are now like closing up shop. So it's like clearly, it feels like there's kind of a sea change happening in like the Portland food scene. It feels like there's a shift happening where, there's a ton of great places opening. Like there's a bunch of like new growth in the industry as well. But then a lot of like old kind of legacy places are, I don't know, finding it harder to compete, or like you said, like maybe it's just oversaturated, or cost of goods are going up, or maybe like the consumer tastes have changed enough that old business models and old restaurants and places are no longer as relevant as they were once were. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's tough.
It's tough to say, but all that being said, this is what like our third or fourth pivot with food in the tasting room here, which is it's been a journey. I've learned a lot along this way, but I think we're finally getting to, I don't know, a point that feels comfortable for us because, we tried when we initially opened, we didn't really have any food in-house, and we were mostly going to be relying on food trucks coming in or different outside food vendors, and we had Cole's, the pizza place, as a delivery option.
Yeah.
And then as food trucks sort of died out on us, for just various reasons, then we pretty much had Cole's as our only food option for some time. And it did well, but, we're not making any money on that.
Right.
And then, we started bringing on Levitt & Sons, like panini-style sandwiches, which, have done, like, they've done better than I thought they might do.
For sure, yeah. And it's great for us. Like, so Levitt & Sons, like, prepares it for us, and it's kind of already ready to go, and we're throwing it on a panini press after you order it. And so it comes out, it's, like, hot, it's fresh. I eat them all the time. You eat them all the time.
Yeah.
They're good. They're great.
Yeah. It's good quality. And having, like, those other kind of shareable plates has been huge. But it's just kind of, like, a big learning moment in that, like, food is definitely crucial.
Oh, yeah.
100%. Not having food is not an option.
The number of people who would come in and be like, look at our menu and ask, like, what are your food options? And we say what it is. And they kind of like it's not quite what I'm looking for. And they walk out. That's probably, like, our most common walkout reason. Sure. Is related to food more so than drink even. Yeah. We get the occasional, like, do you have any IPAs? And we're like, no, just lagers. And, they'll turn around and walk out. But that's very few and far between. It's mostly like, oh, you guys don't have, like, a kitchen. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have, like, food that we produce in-house in that way. But I think we're doing the best with the setup that we have. Anybody who's been in Argenta, there's no place to put a kitchen in this place.
There's no room for anything.
We barely have enough room for what we got.
Yeah.
So we're just kind of doing the best with what we got and just trying to adapt and keep it simple, keep it good, stick with, like, high quality, keep it local. In this case, like, hyper local. Like, we could almost, like, throw a rock from here and hit Levitt & Sons. So, if you kind of stick with your neighborhood, stick with your partners, like, it's going to mean success for you. Hopefully.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah, no, it's been beneficial, and we are planning on kind of expanding that slowly as, we see more of a need for it, especially, like, truly figuring out who our customer is, who our clientele is, trying to cater it to that as much as we can, really, which is always difficult. But, again, we know that food is important. It keeps butts in seats. It keeps people here, when they're here at trivia or other events. Maybe if they get something to eat, they'll get that extra drink, or just be more, like, satisfied in general with their overall experience, which is, at the end of the day, that's what we're here to accomplish.
Yeah. As long as the customer's happy, we're happy. Because if the customer's happy, they're drinking, they'll come back. Yeah. And it's just a better time for us too. If, like, everybody's in here having a good time, it's like a fun place to work.
Yeah, it's more fun when everyone's enjoying themselves.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just like some sad, dark bar somewhere in Portland.
Yeah. No thanks.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's been kind of big pivots on that end. I guess looking back, we've come a long way, but it feels like it's kind of taken a long time to get to where we are now.
It's already and only been 7 months.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And this is our first fall. We're going into our first fall. So we're trying to kind of figure out what that means for Argenta. We're wrapping up cornhole this week. Our cornhole league is wrapping up. Shout out to Tyler. He was on the last episode. He's wrapping that up. He's not going anywhere though. He's going to be with us here through fall and winter, doing some like more indoor activities. I think we talked about it on that episode, but like a cribbage tournament. Hopefully going to be doing some like drunk spelling bees, maybe some music bingo. We'll see. There's going to be a lot of fun sort of indoor stuff. We've got some cool events, kind of one-off events that we got on the docket for the next couple months, that are seasonally appropriate as we get towards like Thanksgiving and Christmas. And we're just kind of pivoting to inside Argenta, kind of.
Yeah, I mean it's funny too because we don't have like a huge patio space outside.
It's true,
but I feel like we've done a good job with what we have. I can't say we spent a lot of money or time necessarily like trying to like make it incredible. I think at some point I would love to put more energy into our patio and make it more of like a destination.
For sure.
Because, people in Maine want to be sitting outside
100%.
Eating or drinking 7 days a week if they can.
Oh, yeah.
So we have that asset of having outdoor space that not everywhere has.
Right.
And it's private too. It's not like right on the road. It's a little bit removed. So I think there's a lot we can do with making that a bit more of like an appealing item for people.
Yeah.
But, it's
spring 2025 maybe? Who knows?
Yeah, right. But yeah, exactly. Headed into fall, I think we do have a good indoor space as well, so it's this is the season of people having to be inside more often, so it's going to be crucial here, I think, at the tasting room to have more indoor events and just keep things like that going.
Yeah. So not only are we kind of planning some more events and stuff, but we're also kind of growing our footprint here in Portland. Like up until now, the only place you could get Argenta beer is at the Argenta tasting room. Mm-hmm. We didn't do any sort of distribution. People would ask us all the time. We'd be like, we're probably not going to do distribution. It doesn't make a lot of financial sense for us. It's all about volume.
Yeah,
we don't really...
Psych.
Psych. Because now you can get our beer at, 5 places in Portland?
Yeah, so currently, shout out to our partners who are carrying our beer. I guess I'll just kind of list them off. So, Kohl's had our beer for a short time. Unfortunately, they had to shut their doors.
Yep.
But other places who have kind of our first customers were the Beer Hub down in the Old Port.
Shout out.
So shout out to those guys. They've been incredible to work with. And we've worked with them actually with the Maine Brews Cruise too.
Yeah.
So, I can't speak to all of the owners of who's part of that venture, but at least Zach, who is one of the co-owners of the Beer Hub as well, works with the Maine Brews Cruise. So it's been nice kind of getting to know that team a bit.
Yeah, they've been awesome.
Yeah, because that's it wasn't necessarily every week, but potentially every Friday and Sunday-ish, they'd more or less, it's just like shuttling people around different breweries in Portland, and we were one of the stops, so we appreciate being on that, just getting new faces in the door.
Yeah.
But, so, the Beer Hub has been carrying our beer. Ocotillo is a brunch spot in the West End.
Oh, yeah.
They're carrying our beer as well. Who else just got us?
Maps.
Yeah, Maps is going to be carrying our beer as well. I think in the next week or so that'll be going on.
Very cool.
A newer restaurant to Portland, Barfudo.
Oh yeah,
is going to be putting our beer on draft. Super excited about that.
Another round on Congress Street just opened.
Yeah, jeez, can't forget about them. Another round, of
yeah.
course. Looking forward to doing more, collaboration and different work with them as well.
Yeah.
And then we've got a few other kind of collab beers we're working on as well.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a kind of collaborative beer with Bar Publica, the bar right next door to us here.
Yeah.
So really looking forward to that one. It'll be fun, but kind of slowly. So slowly growing our distribution footprint. So I think backtracking 6 months, where maybe we initially talked about this and we're like, hey, we're never gonna distribute, or at least in the moment saying it's not right for us then.
Right. Which is still true. It was not right for us then.
Sure, yeah, that was not a chance.
No. barely had enough like time to do what we were already doing.
Yeah, there was way too much going on, but I think we've kind of gotten to the point where, for better or worse, we know about what we're going to sell out of the tasting room here.
Yep.
And there is excess beer at the end of the month. So, I think in our minds, let's sell it out the door to people who are asking for it.
Yeah.
Like people literally emailing us asking for our beer to carry in their restaurant. So I think it'd be foolish not to,
Oh, yeah.
And, let's be honest, we're not making tons of money with every keg we sell because, the margins are better if we sell it here ourselves. But I think for two reasons that it can be beneficial. One is, yes, you are making a small amount of money when you sell the keg, and in theory, it's like a one-time thing. You sell them the keg, and that's all you have to do.
They may never sell your beer again.
Yeah. Or, I mean, I kind of mean in the sense that, like, you're not having to pour, those 50 beers out of the keg.
Oh, right,
You give
yeah.
it, and you get your check, and you're done.
Got you.
Obviously it's important to, like, support them and encourage people to go there. But also, it's kind of like a marketing piece, too.
Oh, for sure.
So,
It's kind of like getting new eyes in front of the product, like you were talking about with the Brew Screws.
Exactly, yeah. So, I mean, the more we think about it, the more that kind of makes sense to me in that, we get beer out to, half a dozen different bars and restaurants right now, which means that maybe a new clientele who has never heard of us or has just never been in here tries it there, enjoys it, and then might want to come down to the tasting room here, or tries it there, likes it, and just wants to get it at that bar or restaurant every time they go in there.
Which is great.
Great, too. So I think it's just it's a good way just to expand our reach even more.
For sure. And like we've kind of chosen really like cool, interesting partners who have really high quality sort of like menus and who are going to be like good like stewards of the beer. You know what I mean? Like they're going to like treat it well. And so it feels good to like get our product out there with like cool, interesting partners who are like psyched about it, who want to like, carry Argenta beer. Like that's crazy that people want to do that. The fact that people want us to brew like their house beer.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts. I mean, I went up to another round a week or two ago and like ordered the beer I made and drank it at their bar.
Crazy.
I was like, and it tasted great.
Yeah.
I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah. Imagine telling your like, I don't know, 16-year-old self that. I don't know if you wanted to brew beer when you were 16, but
I don't know what I wanted to do at 16. Useless.
Yeah. Classic. But yeah, so I mean that's a great way that we've been kind of growing. And so so to clarify, when we're talking about distribution, we're not distributing cans or anything like that. Like you can't necessarily buy Argenta in like a market yet or like Hannaford or anything.
Yeah.
It's all still on draft. But I mean we are getting cans soon.
Yeah. Little plug for cans. The cans
Yeah.
are on the way. In November we will have 2 different brands getting canned.
Crazy.
In the month of November.
0 to 2.
0 to 2 just like that
So quick.
in 9 months.
Yeah. It's wild. Actually, I mean honestly, like if you think about it, like from like the long view, that's not bad.
Yeah. Very true. But yeah, so I mean the distribution we're doing is draft beer, selling kegs to bars and restaurants so then they can sell pints of beer to their customers.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's been a lot of fun. Sorry.
Struggling.
But yeah, I mean, again, so it's like going back, we didn't think we'd do distribution. And part of it, too, is like, maybe this isn't the summer that we might have thought we had.
Yeah, honestly.
Maybe we thought, like, like tasting room didn't quite live up to the numbers. So, it's important to, like, look into other avenues and kind of get creative and, find new ways to make money and, make new partnerships and meet new people, too.
Yeah. And it takes some of the pressure off because it's like if 100% of our revenue is coming from just tasting room sales, that puts a lot of pressure on us to like really like maximize every dollar we can get out of the tasting room. So opening up like distribution as like a sales channel, it's like all of a sudden now you're kind of spreading that among like 2 different parts of the business, diversifying a little bit. You might have a bad week of sales in the tasting room, but then you have like a good distribution week and that can kind of make up for it. So it just kind of makes the business like a little more like overall healthy and more kind of like resilient to times when, maybe it is slow in the tasting room and we're not having like a ton of customers in, but we're distributing X amount of kegs this week. So like that kind of makes up for it.
Yeah, definitely. And I really enjoy too that we're able to get out there and like make new connections and meet new people.
Oh yeah.
Because this is like just a great way to like literally go like network with folks I maybe would have never met.
Yeah. Right.
and some of these people too that have reached out to us, just like happened to come to the tasting room with a friend or whatever, or like, hey, let's try Argenta out, and really enjoyed it, and then emailed us about carrying our beer at their bar, which is crazy. So
That's crazy.
Really appreciate anyone who has done that. I feel like that's a huge compliment, and it's really exciting to have a product that people want to carry and they feel will pair really well with their food and their kind of aesthetic and their vibe at their establishment.
It's the year of the lager, man.
Yeah, right. Last 20 years, year of the lager. But yeah, no, exactly. And so that portion's been fun. It's been a whole new set of things to figure out, and now I turn into sales and delivery guy too.
Yeah.
Which is fun, but I have a lot of experience doing delivery work, so that's no problem with me.
There you go.
I'll bust down the door of any kitchen.
Cop pulls you over. You have like a full keg of beer in your passenger seat. And you're like, officer, I swear.
Yeah.
I swear I'm delivering this.
I got an invoice.
I've got an invoice, exactly.
It's no problem. Well, I always said that when I used to do delivery work for a long time in college. I was like, you can go literally anywhere you want. If you have a hand truck and an invoice,
100%.
you can go anywhere you want.
Dude, and then if you throw on like the orange safety vest, man,
yeah, you're immortal.
You're immortal. You're invisible. Nobody notices you. You can get anywhere.
Yeah, no, exactly. But yeah, so that's been a lot of fun, just like meeting new people, and it's potentially opening up new like collaboration opportunities, new sponsorship opportunities for us.
Yeah.
So. Again, it's one of those things where I think it's worth, again, we're not like swimming in money when we're selling, a couple logs here and there.
Right.
But it's those, like, you've brought this up before, like intangibles that it's kind of hard to measure. Like, oh, you're making, connections with people, and you're making new friends who might want to do business with you down the line.
Yeah.
So it's like you're kind of setting yourself up for the long game, which, I think is what our whole plan here is like, how do we plan for this business being around in 100 years? Like, how do we set ourselves up now that we're kind of playing that long game and not necessarily just like these short-term wins?
For sure. And I think, again, we've talked about it from day one of trying to build community here at Argenta. And this feels very much just building that community outside of our walls. Because it's like, we're here in Portland. We may be one place you go in Portland, but all of our customers also frequent other breweries, food and beverage places. So it's like, we are as much of a part of that community as all of our customers are, and if we can kind of get out there and network with the people who are on our same kind of like level, then it's a win-win for all of us.
Yeah, I just think we're excited to like explore new opportunities.
Yeah. And as we move here into the fall, winter, we're looking forward. What's on the brew schedule coming up? What do you got planned for different like beers coming out?
Yeah, so we have a collaborative brew coming out with Brickyard Hollow Brewing Company. I will say I used to brew with their head brewer at a former brewery I worked at.
Ooh.
So we have a good connection, and it was fun to get in and brew with him again, and they have a great production team over there.
Yeah.
Really like those guys. So that is new beer. It's a Munich Dunkel.
Okay.
Coming out. So it's it's a German darker lager.
Got you.
So kind of the range of the darkness of lagers is, we have like our black lager, which is like probably one of the darker beers you're gonna get for like lager styles.
Right.
At least like in appearance, that's kind of how it goes.
For sure.
The Dunkel style is more of like a Coca-Cola color.
Okay.
So not quite black, but still a little darker.
Yeah, you can still kind of see through it.
Yeah, exactly. Has some nice roasty character. I think this is like 4.8% ABV.
Cool.
So that's a fun one. I'm looking
good
forward
like
to.
winter beer.
Yeah, we figured like it's gonna be coming out in very beginning of November, so it'll be a great like November, December, January beer.
Awesome.
It's like a little malty, super drinkable, and then we're working on another collab with another local brewery here. We're gonna be doing a Doppelbock.
Ooh.
So Doppelbock is a high ABV, like 8% plus dark lager as well. So those tend to be like much maltier in character. So like kind of a little boozy, but kind of like a ton of like that malty, almost like slightly caramely character to it. Kind of like a winter warmer beer. And that one most likely come out in like the very end of November or December.
Okay.
So it's kind of like the depths of winter. You've
Yeah.
got your like high ABV Doppelbock kind of sipping on it, chilling.
Yeah. So is that similar to like a double IPA?
I mean, in the sense that like they both have similar ABV. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just thinking because the word double is in there, or at least I'm assuming that's what the German word for double is.
Doppel. Yeah,
It's got to be,
so.
right? Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, it's going to be similar kind of.
Kind of more intense, higher ABV.
Yeah, similar levels.
Gotcha.
Like you're probably not going to have 3 of those.
Watch me.
You're gonna be feeling yourself. So yeah, looking forward to that one as well. Other than that, I mean, we're got a few other collabs with some other breweries kind of in the works. No like dates lined up yet.
Got you.
But yeah, I think the winter will be a fun time to kind of hash out a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Because doing that collaborative work for us, I think, is a lot of fun to just like work with another brewery. For me, it's cool on the brewing side to kind of like learn some new things from someone else.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, oh, hey, I get to go chat with these super experienced brewers and kind of pick their brains.
Yeah.
And see how they would build a recipe, how they do their cellaring, how their marketing team deals with, how they want to do all of that portion of it. So it's kind of fun to get that experience. It's like a learning experience for me.
Yeah.
And just like shamelessly, it is getting our name out there to a new set of people. I think that at the end of the day is kind of why people do collaborations.
100%. Well, and it's like a win-win because like the customer for like whoever else, Brickyard Hollow, they already like beer. They've self-selected themselves as like into beer. So it's like that's part of the great part of this industry is that it's like you don't just pick like, okay, I found my favorite beer, I'm never going to try another beer again. The fun of drinking beer is trying a bunch of different beers from a bunch of different places.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like a win-win because then they get exposed to us like, oh cool, there's this place in Portland that only does lagers. That's awesome. Let's try that out. And if they try it somewhere else or they experience it in someone else's tasting room, then maybe that'll bring them in here, or at the end of the day at least they've like had that experience of like trying something new.
Yeah. Definitely. And again, hopefully it goes both ways too. Someone tries that collab beer here and we're part of the marketing for it is promoting the other company, and then they go and give them business as well. Like that's equally as important that, it's a win-win for everybody. That's the most crucial part of it.
Yeah. So those the collaboration with Brickyard Hollow, the Dunkel, that'll be available in cans here in the tasting room.
Yeah, we will have cans to sell at the very beginning of November.
Crazy.
Here at Argenta. So that's super exciting. And speaking of cans, we will also have, at the end of November, cans of our American lager, the generic American lager, the namesake of this podcast.
Incredible.
So depending on how long our supply lasts of everything, we might have 2 different kind of beers you can buy in
That's
cans
crazy.
at the tasting room.
Unless the Dunkel sells out in like a week, in which case...
Yeah, it's definitely going to be limited supply on that, but it'll be good to do it because, I mean, kind of pivoting into that direction of like new products that people are asking for.
Yeah.
I will say that is probably food and cans to go are, I think, hands down the most frequently asked questions of people who just walk in our door off the street.
For sure.
Like
at least one person a day walks through the door or asks on their way out, like, do you guys do cans yet?
Yeah. So it's tough that like we haven't had cans because, I think we both know that to run this tasting room, we need some food options.
For sure.
We need, obviously have our beer. We need another alcohol option.
Yep.
We have the Fizz. It's our hard seltzer. And we're working on other alcoholic gluten-free options as well right now.
Yeah.
Those are a couple of good options. Merchandise is another good thing to have.
Yep.
And then to-go beer is huge.
Yeah.
It's going to be big. Just from my experience working at other places, if we're doing a couple 4-pack sales a day, I mean, honestly, that like really helps boost the numbers for the day.
Yeah.
And could turn a slow Tuesday into a profitable Tuesday.
Right.
And it's coming into like the slow days of like January, February, March. It's just going to be nice to have something else that we can provide to customers that they want to get here, and just to keep things moving throughout the slow months of the winter here.
And it's like, not only is it kind of financially advantageous to us, but like you were saying before, like the intangible side of it, we're like customers ask us that all the time because it's like they like our beer and they want to drink it at home on their back porch, or they want to like take it to the beach, which is not relevant now, but I don't know, take it skiing. Do you drink while you ski? I don't know.
People really love to drink when they ski.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
So you get afford. So it's like, it's almost like, the money side of it is awesome and cool and obviously like very important, but also again, like it's like we're providing that to our customers to kind of like give them that opportunity. Like, if they're doing us the favor, I guess you could say, of wanting our beer bad enough to like want to buy a 4-pack, it's the least we can do to provide that for them,
Yeah, definitely. And, from like a brand and marketing perspective, it's kind of cool that, someone will be taking this out into the wild, and, drinking a beer with our logo and our name on it,
yeah,
sharing it with friends, enjoying an experience, taking it hiking, skiing,
yeah,
crushing some on the couch, barbecuing with it.
Oh yeah.
We've, especially like in the like hot days of like July, a lot of people talking about like the American lager, the rice lager, being like, man, this is like the perfect like lawnmower beer.
Lawnmower beer, hell yeah.
So it's exciting to kind of get to that point of it feels almost more like a real brewery in a sense that,
for sure,
we actually have like all of the offerings.
Yeah, a little bit of everything, finally.
Yeah. Which is exciting. And I think if canning proves to be successful, we'll keep expanding with that.
Yeah.
I don't foresee us doing much can distribution.
For sure.
The big reason for that is just cost. So, breaking down the cost real quick of how cans work. So, like, draft beer is fairly profitable for any brewery on its own, as like its own piece, excluding everything else.
Right.
Like realistically, we sell our beer for $8. It might only cost us, 90 cents to $1 in materials for that $8 beer. Obviously there's other like overhead and labor costs involved with that.
For sure.
But just like purely material wise, like that's a great margins on that.
Yeah.
When you start including other package materials, so you have the can body, the can end or the lid.
Okay.
You have the label, you have the actual cardboard case tray it goes into.
Right.
You have the plastic 4-pack pack tech
Yeah.
holder on there. And now when you start factoring in those items, that stuff alone can be costing you close to another $1. Maybe
like doubling
more.
the cost.
Yeah, per the same can. So now you've doubled the cost, plus you're paying for us a mobile canner to come into the space, bring all of the canning equipment, actually can the beer and then leave. So there's a lot more involved with the packaging of the beer. So it's like, ideally, yeah, we sell every single ounce of our beer out of our tasting room over our bar.
Right.
And that is the most profitable way to sell your own beer.
100%.
But the reality is, too, and I think where we're at in the world is it can be tough to get people to go out to like bars and restaurants, especially right now. I think some people, a lot of people are feeling inflation, feeling the economy not doing great. It's an election year. Things are uncertain.
For sure.
That's just like the reality of how the world ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
But I think there might be more of a group of people who would be willing to like, maybe grab a 4-pack for $12 to $14 and take it home, because that is a better deal.
Yeah.
If you can get 4 beers for $14 versus 1 beer for $8.
Yeah.
There's a lot of math and cost that goes into both of those, and figuring out what's to get to profitability. But that might be a better option for someone if they want to come in and grab the 4-pack and just drink it at home.
And that's great. Like that's that is just as valid as wanting to come in here and like experience like the tasting room. And ideally we'll have a customer who kind of wants both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you're just coming in here and buying a 4-pack to go home and drink by yourself on the couch, that's called self-care, man.
Yeah.
We're all about it.
Nothing wrong with that. But yeah, it will be interesting to see kind of like how the sales of cans go.
Yeah.
Because like I was saying, it's like we probably won't be able to distribute cans just because there really isn't a lot of margin left in there for us to then sell to a retailer for a wholesale price, and then they need to sell it and make money too.
Right.
So I think most of our cans we will be selling here at the tasting room.
That'll be awesome.
But yeah, it'll be fun to just chat with people and see how they like it, because at the end of the day too, drinking a beer out of a can is going to be a different experience than drinking a beer off of, our like Lucre faucets here, or off of like draft beer. It's just
For sure.
It's different.
I can't even. That's going to be such a crazy day to like crack open a generic American lager like at my house.
Yeah,
Can't
right?
imagine.
Yeah, it's again, it's exciting because what it also does too is like it puts a like image to the brand.
For sure. Yeah. Makes it tangible.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like someone can like knows what the generic American lager looks like in a glass, but it's a little different when you get it in a can and you can see that label art and you're kind of actively looking at it while you're drinking. You're like,
For
okay,
sure.
This is that beer now.
And we've talked about it before, how like beer can labels are such a culture in and of themselves. Like you could like people collect cans, people will like buy cans just for the art. You might follow, like you might have a favorite artist here in Portland who does cans for various different breweries. So it's like it's such a big part of the industry now. And now like that we're going to kind of start dipping our toes in there. And yeah, we're not going to have 6 different brands canned, but at the end of the day, we're going to have enough that we're beginning to form that relationship with our customers who maybe didn't think of us that way before.
Yeah.
We're like evolving as a brand. It's like you said, it's like we're almost like we're growing up.
Yeah, exactly. And it was good. I mean, in hindsight, some of this stuff would have been nice to start day one. But again, it's tough to say until you actually start doing it where we need to be.
Yeah, and it's like I think it's been helpful to kind of like focus on our focus on the tasting room and make sure that we have that down and make sure that we're kind of like building those customer relationships, building a community here in the tasting room first. And now that we've kind of got this down and we have like a good kind of like a good vibe that we've cultivated here in the tasting room, we can kind of expand that outwards because it's sort of like we now know ourselves well enough to kind of project that out into the world.
Yeah.
Because like we were talking about how your original business plan for this place, it kind of resembles what you were originally going for, but a lot of it has changed. A lot of pivots have been made, so it's like we've kind of had to find ourselves,
Yeah, exactly. It's been good, and everything I think for the better,
Oh, yeah.
Thinking about just like different products we've done, and a lot of it is just trying to like listen to the customers and see what people want and see what's needed. Like when we first opened, enough people came in that just didn't want beer as alcohol, but would stay if there's a different alcohol. So it's like, all right, we did the hard seltzer.
Yep.
And then, enough people wanted more food options, so we started increasing our food, and we have that going for us. And now, people are asking for cans, so we're trying to get cans going.
Yeah. And it's not really rocket science how we figure this out. It's just, we have customers kind of like sitting across the bar, kind of trapped with us, and we can kind of pick their brain, talk to them, see what they're looking for, ask them questions. Why'd you come in here? Stuff like that. And if you just like talk to your customers and actually actively listen to them, you can learn a lot about what you are doing well and what you could do better.
Yeah, exactly. And I appreciate that a lot of our regulars and customers who come in are like very candid with us about stuff. Like, a lot of regulars will be honest, like, hey, didn't like this.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
Good to know, like noted. Like if enough people are saying that, it's true. And at the end of the day, that's who we're trying to serve. So if a product we're making isn't serving, that demand, then we need to change it.
Yeah.
So, and likewise, on the other side, if they're saying we want this product enough and people keep saying they want a certain thing, then
We'd be crazy not to.
yeah, exactly. Like if we see a little bit of growth opportunity, like, okay, we can, increase our revenue a bit by adding these new products, then we need to. I think it's important to keep trying to grow the brand and just kind of our overall image in the Portland area.
Yeah.
And this is a great way to do it because now people, could take our canned beers to a friend's house that maybe didn't know we existed and try our beer from home. Again, like it can be quite the hurdle to like get out and go to a new bar, restaurant, brewery that you've never been to. Because again, it's like, do you really want to go out and potentially spend like $8 to $20 on something that you might not like?
For sure.
Totally fair.
Yeah. And you got to find parking. Now it's going to be like cold out there. And
Yeah.
you never know. Like some people just don't like driving in the city, which is perfectly legit.
Yeah.
And so if we have, like you said, like if you have, you can now bring Argenta to your stubborn friends who won't come out drinking with you.
Yeah, exactly. So, another way to like, and maybe there are people that will never come in here, but that's how they enjoy our beer. And that's
fine.
That's totally fine because it's about kind of like finding the customers where they are. And again, it's just gonna be like fun to have our beer out in the wild.
In the wild, yeah,
Who
you'll
knows
see
where it's gonna end up.
you'll see a can somewhere.
Somewhere weird.
Somewhere weird. God only
Yeah.
knows.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely really looking forward to that. And that's like the big stuff on new products. Again, I mentioned that we're going to be doing a new gluten-free alcohol coming up too.
Yeah.
It's not regular beer.
It's not regular beer. It's not seltzer.
Yeah, not quite. It's not even somewhere in between. It's just
Interesting.
different. Yeah, so we'll be on the lookout for that product. Again, it's like, we can go into this and just like keep pounding the pavement and doing the same stuff we do, but if we find that there is demand for other stuff, we need to shift and pivot because, I've said this a million times, but like craft beer isn't what it was even 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, for sure.
You think of 2019 craft beer to today, and it's very different. A lot of breweries in 2019 were having like some of their best years.
Yep.
And then COVID hit and just changed everything.
The bottom fell right out.
Yeah, and it's just like a totally different market. Customers want different things. People might not be going out as much. They might not be seeking out these like new, unique craft beers quite as often.
Yeah.
So for us, it's like, all right, we need to like innovate and make some new products and kind of meet the market where it's going, which might be more of like the RTD, ready to drink cocktails. Maybe it's, THC, CBD infused drinks.
Ooh, yeah.
There's like a lot of stuff we could be leaning into. Like seltzers have been huge lately, but maybe they'll continue to stay relevant, but I'm sure that will change to some degree as well.
For sure.
It's just kind of like trends ebb and flow in the beverage scene. So
yeah,
I think beer is obviously what we're going to make the most amount of money on. It's like our bread and butter, but it's about having those alternatives that can also aid in the experience and kind of overall just like culture we're trying to build.
Yeah, it kind of like fills it in. Like we have like the skeleton of Argenta is beer, and sort of like you're filling it in with like the seltzer, the food, events, cans, merchandise. All of that stuff is kind of like built around the skeleton of good beer.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah, it all fits together, and it's all kind of feeds off each other, and it's all very important. And that's where, I think looking back, maybe I was wrong in saying that I don't think we should do any distribution. And I guess that comes with a caveat in the sense that we're doing self-distribution, which means it's literally just me running around town in my Subaru.
Right.
Like, I don't even have a hand truck. I'm just carrying kegs into bars and restaurants and stuff.
R.I.P. You're back.
Yeah, for real. But there is a difference between that and going with like a distributor. A distributor would be you're selling beer to them for kind of that wholesale price, and then they're selling it to a retailer, a bar, or restaurant.
Right.
So again, you're making even less money on that. Whereas at least at our size, doing self-distribution is a little bit more profitable, and we have a little bit more control in where it goes and how it ends up places. So it's not quite the same as like rolling with a distributor. We're not locked into a contract with anyone.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. If all of a sudden, demand outstrips supply, then we're like violating our contract or whatever. Like it's a lot more uncomfortable of a place to be than letting somebody know like, hey, we don't have kegs right now, but we'll get you some next week or whatever.
Yeah. Or, quite the opposite of all of a sudden they're not selling any of your beer, and you have all this infrastructure and all this beer brewed up for them to sell, and they just like, it's just not moving. So I think we're trying to stay nimble enough in that, like, we can move around, we can make adjustments, we can do what we got to do to satisfy the needs of the customers, but we're not too locked in on anything yet and not too overextended.
Yeah.
Which I've seen, different places just kind of crumble because they overdid it.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to like kind of chase that of like, oh, like we just increase capacity, more tanks, bigger tanks. Yeah. Because you see a little uptick in demand and you think it's going to keep going up and keep going up. It's the matter of you got to find the balance.
Yeah. And that was a lot of like craft breweries, and like not even to blame them necessarily. That was just like the growth trajectory for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Was just like up, growth.
Yeah.
Literally until like COVID.
Like so many things.
Yeah.
Until COVID.
But I mean, it had to something had to change the course of it. for better or for worse, it's where we're at right now. So I think kind of staying nimble, keeping the infrastructure we have and just working with what we have and trying to make everything work it's the best move we can do.
Yeah. Yeah. While still staying true to the core values here at Argenta.
Yeah. So it's, it's tiptoeing around things. It's trying to, making it work, putting our spin on it.
It's going to be cool. So the next few months here at Argenta are going to be very interesting. They're going to be fun. We're coming up on our 1 year in February.
God damn.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. Hopefully we make it a year.
Yeah, we'll make it a year. We might even make it 2.
Whoa. Cool. All right. Well, thanks for sitting down, chatting, updating.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out, listener, for beer in cans here in the tasting room. And keep an eye out on our Instagram for some upcoming events, some fun stuff to do here in the tasting room. And we'll see you here at Argenta.
Peace.
Peace.